I thought I knew what betrayal looked like. I thought it came with warning signs, red flags, suspicious behavior, the kind of thing you see coming from a mile away. I was wrong. Betrayal doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock on your door and ask permission to destroy everything you've built. It walks in through the front door you left open. It sits at your table. It laughs at your jokes. It holds your hand when you cry. And then, when you least expect it, it takes everything. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what happened. What matters is that for 17 years, I trusted someone more than I trusted myself. For 17 years, I believed that friendship was sacred. That loyalty meant something. That the person who knew all my secrets, all my fears, all my dreams, would never use them against me. I was 38 years old when my world ended. It was a Tuesday. Isn't that strange? The day your life falls apart should feel significant. It should be stormy or dramatic. But it was just a Tuesday. The sun was shining. Birds were singing. The coffee shop on 3rd Street was serving their seasonal pumpkin spice latte. And I was about to discover that my best friend had been sleeping with my husband for 2 years. 2 whole years. Let that sink in for a moment. 730 days of lies. Of looking me in the eye. Of birthday parties and dinner dates and girls' nights where she listened to me talk about my marriage problems. Where she held me while I cried about feeling distant from him. Where she told me everything would be okay. She knew why he was distant. She was the reason. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Because the story doesn't start with the discovery. The story starts 3 weeks earlier with something so small, so insignificant, that I almost missed it. It was my birthday party. 40 people crammed into our backyard, string lights hanging from the oak tree, the smell of burgers on the grill mixing with jasmine from the garden. My husband, Marcus, was playing bartender. My best friend, the woman I'll call Jay because saying her real name still makes my stomach turn, was helping me arrange the dessert table. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. That should have been my first clue. Jay had been my best friend since college. We met in a poetry class, both of us terrible at writing, but excellent at drinking cheap wine and talking until 3 in the morning. She was there when my father died. I was there when she lost her job. She was my maid of honor. I was hers 2 years later at her wedding to a man who turned out to be a complete disaster. When she got divorced 5 years ago, she moved into an apartment 10 minutes from my house. We saw each other almost every day. Our lives were intertwined like roots of trees that had grown together. Impossible to separate without damage. Or so I thought. At the party, I was cutting the cake when I saw it. Just a flicker of something in the corner of my vision. I looked up and there they were, Marcus and Jay, standing by the drink table. He handed her a glass of wine. Their fingers touched for just a second longer than necessary. And they looked at each other. Not the way you look at your wife's best friend. Not the way you look at someone you've known for years in that casual, comfortable way. They looked at each other the way people look at each other when they share a secret. When they know something no one else in the room knows. The look lasted maybe 2 seconds. Then Jay saw me watching and smiled, bright and warm, and walked over with her wine glass raised. "To the birthday girl," she said. 38 and still gorgeous. "How do you do it?" I laughed. We clinked glasses. The moment passed. But something in my chest tightened. A small, cold feeling that I couldn't name. I pushed it down. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself that I was tired, that planning a party was stressful, that I was seeing things that weren't there. I guess I was wrong about that too. The next week, I started noticing things. Small things. Tiny things. The kind of things that, individually, mean nothing. But when you line them up like dominoes, they start to form a picture you don't want to see. Marcus started working late more often. He'd been doing it for months, actually, maybe even years, but suddenly I was paying attention. He'd come home at 9, 10, sometimes 11 at night, smelling like the office and takeout food and apologizing about deadlines. Jay started being harder to reach. She'd always been the friend who answered on the first ring, who texted back immediately, who was never too busy for me. But suddenly she had plans. Vague plans. Just running errands. Meeting with a client. Taking some me time. They were never in the same place. Never unavailable at the same time. They were careful. But not careful enough. One evening, I decided to surprise Marcus at work. I picked up his favorite Thai food and drove to his office downtown. I was feeling guilty, actually. Guilty for being suspicious. Guilty for doubting him. I thought maybe I was being a bad wife, not trusting enough, not understanding enough about the pressure he was under. I wanted to do something nice. His office was on the 14th floor of a glass building that always looked like it was on fire at sunset. I signed in with the security guard, took the elevator up, and walked down the hallway with the bag of food getting cold in my hands. His office was dark. Not just dark. Empty. The kind of empty that meant no one had been there for hours. I stood there for a long moment, staring at his desk through the glass wall. His computer was off. His coffee mug was clean. His jacket wasn't on the back of his chair where he always left it. "Can I help you?" A voice behind me made me jump. It was Marcus's colleague, David, carrying a briefcase and looking tired. I brought dinner for Marcus. Is he still here? David's face did something strange. A micro-expression that I couldn't quite read. Confusion, maybe. Or discomfort. Marcus left around 4 today, he said carefully. Said he had an appointment. 4 o'clock. It was now 7:30. Oh, I said. My voice sounded strange in my own ears. He must have forgotten to mention it. I'll call him. I walked back to the elevator with my heart pounding. I called Marcus. It rang 4 times before he answered. Hey, babe. His voice was slightly breathless. Background noise I couldn't identify. What's up? Where are you? A pause. Just a fraction of a second too long. At the office. Why? The lie hung in the air between us like smoke. I'm at your office, I said quietly. You're not here. Another pause. Longer this time. Oh shit, right? I meant I'm at the coffee shop around the corner. We had to evacuate the building, some kind of fire alarm test. I'm working on my laptop here. Sorry, I should have told you. He was good. His voice was steady. Reasonable. Just annoyed enough at the inconvenience to sound authentic. But I didn't believe him. Okay, I said. I'll come by. No. Too fast. Too loud. He caught himself. I mean, I'm almost done here. I'll be home in an hour. Why don't you just head back and I'll grab dinner on the way? I already got Thai food. Perfect. I'll be home soon. Love you. He hung up before I could respond. I stood in the parking lot with the bag of food getting cold and my hands shaking. I didn't go to the coffee shop. I didn't go home. I called Jay. Straight to voicemail. I want to be clear about something. I'm not proud of what I did next. I'm not proud of the person I became in those weeks. But when you're drowning, you don't think about how elegant your strokes are. You just try to survive. I became someone who checked phone records. Someone who tracked locations. Someone who drove past places I had no reason to be, just to see if his car was there. And every time I did these things, I told myself I was crazy. I told myself I was destroying my marriage with paranoia. I told myself that if Marcus ever found out, he'd be hurt and angry and would have every right to be. But I couldn't stop. It was like picking at a scab. You know you should leave it alone. You know you're making it worse. But your fingers move on their own. 2 days after the office incident, I installed a tracking app on my phone that showed me Marcus's location. I told myself it was for safety. What if he got in an accident? What if something happened and I needed to find him? The lies we tell ourselves are sometimes the most dangerous. For 3 days, his location matched his stories. Office during work hours. Gym on Tuesday evening. Grocery store on Wednesday afternoon. On Thursday, everything changed. I was at home, trying to work on a presentation for my job at the consulting firm where I'd worked for 12 years. I couldn't focus. The words on the screen blurred together. I checked the tracking app. Marcus's phone was at a hotel. Not just any hotel. The Riverside Inn, a boutique hotel on the edge of town. The kind of place that advertised romantic getaways and intimate accommodations. My hands went numb. I stared at the little blue dot on my phone screen for 10 minutes. Maybe 15. Telling myself there was an explanation. A work conference. A client meeting. Something innocent. Then I checked Jay's social media. She'd posted a photo an hour earlier. A latte with foam art captioned, "Taking a mental health afternoon." Sometimes you need to hit pause. The location tag was vague. Just the name of our town, but I knew. The way you know when you touch a hot stove. The way you know when you're about to fall. Instant, absolute certainty that burns through every excuse you've been making. I got in my car. The drive to the Riverside took 12 minutes. It should have taken 15, but I didn't pay attention to speed limits. I didn't pay attention to traffic lights. I barely paid attention to the road. All I could think about was that blue dot. That little marker on my screen that represented my husband's phone. My husband's phone at a hotel in the middle of a Thursday afternoon when he was supposed to be at a budget meeting. The Riverside Inn was exactly as advertised. Charming brick building covered in ivy. A fountain in the circular driveway. Flower boxes in every window. The kind of place that showed up in magazines about weekend getaways. The kind of place you take someone you want to impress. His car was in the parking lot. I sat in my car, staring at it. Dark blue sedan, personalized license plate that referenced his favorite band, small dent on the rear bumper from when he backed into a pole at the mall 2 years ago. Undeniably his car. I don't know how long I sat there. Time stopped meaning anything. I was trapped in that moment, unable to move forward or backward. Like I was standing on the edge of a cliff and knew that either direction would end in falling. My phone buzzed. A text from Jay. "Hey, wanna grab dinner tonight? I've been craving that Italian place." The casualness of it made me want to scream. Instead, I typed back, "Can't tonight. Maybe this weekend." Perfect. Miss you, beautiful. Love you. Love you. 2 words that used to mean everything. 2 words that now felt like knives. I got out of my car. The hotel lobby was small and elegant. Mahogany furniture, soft lighting, a fireplace that wasn't lit because it was only October. Behind the desk stood a young woman with perfect makeup and a professional smile. "Good afternoon," she said. "Checking in." "No, My voice cracked. I cleared my throat. "I'm supposed to meet my husband. Marcus Marcus Reynolds." I was so disoriented I almost used the wrong name. "Could you tell me what room he's in?" Her smile never wavered, but her eyes changed. Just slightly. She'd seen this before. Women showing up looking for husbands. The particular desperation in my voice that signaled trouble. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't give out guest room information. Hotel policy. But I can call the room if you'd like." "Yes, please." She picked up the phone. I watched her manicured finger press buttons. The phone rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4. "I'm sorry, there's no answer. Would you like to leave a message? What name is the room under?" "I really can't say. Please." The word came out broken. "Please. I need to know." She looked at me for a long moment. Then her eyes flicked to her computer screen and back to me. A small act of mercy from one woman to another. "The room was booked under the name Jackson," she said quietly. Jay's last name. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the desk. "Ma'am? Are you okay? Do you need to sit down? What room number?" "I really can't. I might lose my job. Please." She hesitated. Then, so quietly I almost didn't hear it, 214. I walked to the elevator like a ghost. Like I was watching myself from outside my body. Like this was happening to someone else and I was just an observer. 2nd floor. The hallway was carpeted in deep burgundy. Brass wall sconces cast warm light. Distant music from someone's room, classical piano. Everything was beautiful and civilized and completely wrong. Room 214 was at the end of the hall. I stood outside the door and raised my hand to knock. My hand was shaking so badly I had to steady it with the other one. But I didn't knock. Instead, I pressed my ear against the door. Silence. For a long moment, just silence. Then I heard her laugh. Jay's laugh. The same laugh I'd heard 1,000 times over 17 years. The same laugh that had gotten us kicked out of a library once. The same laugh that always made me laugh too, no matter how bad my day had been. She was laughing on the other side of this door. In a hotel room. With my husband. I heard his voice next. Low, murmuring something I couldn't make out. Then her voice again, playful. Stop it, we don't have time. I knocked. The silence that followed was absolute. Like the world had stopped spinning. Footsteps. Someone approaching the door. Marcus opened it. The look on his face is something I'll remember until the day I die. First, confusion. Just for a split second, his brain trying to process what his eyes were seeing. His wife standing in a hotel hallway when she should be at home or work or anywhere else, but here. Then recognition. Understanding dawning like a terrible sunrise. Then fear. Pure animal fear. What are you doing here? His voice was barely a whisper. I looked past him into the room. Jay was sitting on the edge of the bed, wrapped in a hotel robe. Her hair was wet. Her face had gone completely white. Hi, Jay, I said. My voice sounded strange. Too calm. Too quiet. Like I was speaking to them from underwater. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. How long? I asked. Neither of them answered. How long? I wasn't quiet anymore. The words ripped out of me like something breaking. Please, Marcus started. Let's not do this here. Let's go home and talk. 2 years, Jay said suddenly. Her voice was barely audible. It's been 2 years. Marcus turned to her, shocked. Why would you? Because she deserves to know. Jay stood up, the robe clutched around her. Tears were streaming down her face. God, she deserves to know the truth. 2 years, I repeated. The words didn't feel real. You've been lying to me for 2 years. It wasn't supposed to happen, Marcus said. He was crying too now. When had that started? We never meant for it to happen. It just started and we couldn't stop. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare tell me it just happened. Don't you dare act like this was something that happened to you. You made choices. Every single day for 2 years, you made choices. You're right, Jay said. She took a step toward me. You're absolutely right. There's no excuse. What we did was unforgivable. I know that. I know I destroyed everything, and I know you probably hate me and you should. You should hate both of us. I don't hate you, I said. They both looked at me confused. I don't hate you, I repeated. I don't feel anything at all. And it was true. Standing there in that hallway, looking at the 2 people I'd loved most in the world, I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a vast, hollow emptiness where my heart used to be. I need you to tell me everything, I said. And I mean everything. When it started. How it started. Every lie. Every time you looked me in the eye and pretended everything was normal. I want to know all of it. Maybe we should go somewhere else, Marcus said. Not here. This isn't. We're doing this now. Right here. Unless you'd prefer I start calling people? Your mother? My brother? Maybe we should have this conversation at the house with everyone there. Would that be better? The threat worked. They glanced at each other, then back at me. We sat in that hotel room for 3 hours. They told me everything. I drove home at sunset. The sky was orange and purple and pink, beautiful in a way that felt like an insult. Like the world had no right to be beautiful while mine was ending. My hands were steady on the wheel. My vision was clear. I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. It was like something inside me had frozen. A defense mechanism, maybe. The body's way of protecting itself when the pain is too much to process. They'd told me everything. Every detail I'd asked for and several I hadn't wanted. How it started at a work conference where Jay was doing contract design work for Marcus's company. How they'd gone for drinks after. How drinks became dinner. How dinner became a kiss in the parking lot that they both swore they immediately regretted. How regret became Tuesday afternoons at the Riverside Inn. How Tuesday afternoons became elaborate lies and coordinated schedules and a double life so complex that I was amazed they'd managed to maintain it for 2 years. We tried to stop, Jay had said, mascara running down her face. So many times. We'd break it off, and then we'd see each other at your house or at a party, and it would start again. Why didn't you just tell me? I'd asked. 2 years ago. When it first happened. Why didn't you just tell me? Neither of them had an answer for that. Or maybe they did, and it was just too ugly to say out loud, because they wanted to keep me. They wanted to keep the life we'd all built together. They wanted their cake and to eat it too. They wanted the affair and the friendship and the marriage. They wanted everything. And for 2 years, they'd had it. I pulled into my driveway and sat in the car, staring at my house. The house Marcus and I had bought 8 years ago. The house where we'd hosted birthday parties and Thanksgiving dinners and game nights. The house where Jay had spent countless hours, sitting at our kitchen counter drinking wine, sleeping in the guest room after girls' nights, helping me pick out curtains and paint colors. It looked different now. Tainted. Like I could see the ghost of their betrayal in every room. My phone buzzed. Multiple texts from Marcus. Please come back. We need to talk more. I know you're in shock. I understand. But we can work through this. I love you. I've always loved you. This doesn't change that. I deleted them without responding. A text from Jay, I'm so sorry. I know that means nothing, but I am. I would do anything to take it back. I deleted that too, then I did something they weren't expecting. I did nothing. Silence is a strange weapon. People don't expect it. They expect anger, shouting, confrontation. They expect you to fight back, to demand answers, to make scenes. They brace themselves for impact. But when you give them nothing, when you meet their crisis with perfect, absolute silence, they fall apart. Marcus came home 2 hours after I did. I heard his car in the driveway, heard the front door open, heard him calling my name. I was sitting in the living room in the dark, watching the last light fade from the windows. There you are, he said, relief flooding his voice. I was worried. You weren't answering your phone. I looked at him without speaking. We need to talk about this, he continued. He sat down on the couch across from me, leaning forward with his hands clasped. Earnest. Sincere. I know you're processing everything, and I know it's a lot. But I need you to understand. Get out. 2 words. Quiet. Calm. What? Get out of this house. Pack a bag. You have 20 minutes. Wait, hold on. You can't just. I can. This is my house. My name is on the deed. You moved in after we got married. Legally, this is mine. I'd looked it up on the drive home. One of those weird things your brain does in crisis, latching onto concrete details when everything else is chaos. You have 20 minutes. If you're not out by then, I'm calling the police and telling them you're trespassing. You're being irrational. 19 minutes now. He stared at me. I watched him cycle through emotions like a slot machine. Disbelief. Anger. Panic. Desperation. Please, he finally said. Please, just let me explain. You already explained. For 3 hours at a hotel where you were cheating on me with my best friend. I don't need to hear anything else. What about counseling? Therapy? We can work through this. 18 minutes. He left with 3 minutes to spare. I changed the locks the next morning. The thing about infidelity is that it's never just between 2 people. When your spouse cheats on you, especially with someone close to you, it detonates in your social circle like a bomb. Everyone wants to know what happened. Everyone has opinions. Everyone picks sides. They were waiting for me to tell them. Waiting for me to post cryptic messages on social media. Waiting for me to call crying. Waiting for the drama. I gave them nothing. Jay called 17 times in the first 2 days. I didn't answer. She left voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. Please, just talk to me. I need to explain. I know you hate me. I hate myself. But please, just let me apologize properly. We've been friends for 17 years. That has to mean something. Please don't throw that away. I'm worried about you. Please just let me know you're okay. I deleted them all without listening to the end. Marcus tried a different approach. He sent emails. Long, rambling essays about how much he loved me, how the affair was a mistake, how he wanted to fight for our marriage. He sent flowers to my office with cards begging for another chance. He showed up at my gym, my favorite coffee shop, the grocery store. I looked through him like he was glass. The silence drove him crazy. Just yell at me, he shouted one day in the parking lot of the grocery store. People were staring. Just tell me you hate me. Give me something. I put my groceries in my car and drove away without a word. Our mutual friends started reaching out. Carefully worded texts and calls. Hey, just checking in on you. Heard you and Marcus are having some trouble. Is there anything I can do? I told them all the same thing. I'm fine. I appreciate your concern. No details. No drama. No explanations. Within a week, Jay and Marcus's silence was louder than any confession I could have made. See, here's what happens when you refuse to engage. People's imaginations fill in the blanks. And what they imagine is always worse than the truth. Marcus started showing up places looking haggard. Dark circles under his eyes. Wrinkled clothes. The look of a man who wasn't sleeping or eating. Jay stopped posting on social media entirely. Stopped going to the yoga class we used to take together. Stopped showing up at the coffee shop where we used to meet. And people noticed. What happened between you and Jay? My colleague asked at work one day. We're not friends anymore. Why? It's personal. That was all I said. But it was enough. The rumor mill started turning. People drew their own conclusions. And because I wasn't defending Jay, wasn't making excuses, wasn't trying to minimize what happened, those conclusions were damning. 3 weeks after the hotel room, Jay showed up at my house. It was 11 o'clock at night. I was in bed, reading, trying to pretend my life was normal. Trying to pretend I didn't wake up every morning with my stomach in knots. Trying to pretend I wasn't having panic attacks in the bathroom at work. The doorbell rang. Then knocking. Then the doorbell again. I know you're in there. Jay's voice, muffled through the door. Please. I'm not leaving until you talk to me. I got out of bed and walked to the front door. Looked through the peephole. She looked terrible. Hair uncombed, makeup smeared, eyes swollen from crying. I opened the door. Thank God, she said. I've been so worried. I held up my hand and she stopped talking. You have 5 minutes, I said. Can I come in? No. She flinched like I'd hit her. Okay. I need you to know that I never meant to hurt you. I know how that sounds. I know it's a cliché, but it's true. What happened with Marcus, it wasn't about you. It was never about you. I waited. Say something, she begged. Please. Yell at me. Hit me. Do something. You want me to absolve you, I said. You want me to tell you that I understand, that people make mistakes, that our friendship means too much to throw away over this. You want me to make you feel better about what you did. I'm not going to do that. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I miss you. I miss my best friend. I miss talking to you every day. I miss our little childish gossips. You miss who I was before you destroyed my life. That's not fair. Fair. The word came out sharp. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you slept with my husband for 2 years? Was it fair when you sat in my kitchen and listened to me worry about why Marcus seemed distant? Was it fair when you looked me in the eye at my birthday party and pretended everything was fine? You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm a terrible person. I know that. But please, isn't there some way we can? No. You won't even consider. No. There is no path forward here. There is no forgiveness arc. There is no redemption story where we work through this and come out stronger. There is just no. She was sobbing now. Full, body-shaking sobs. I can't lose you. You're my best friend. You're my person. I can't. You already lost me. The moment you made the choice to betray me, you lost me. And you can't have me back. But your 5 minutes are up. I closed the door in her face and locked it. She stood on my porch for another 20 minutes, crying and occasionally knocking. I went back to bed and put in earplugs. Eventually, she left. My sister came to visit on a Saturday afternoon. Emma had always been the practical one. The one who didn't deal in emotions, but in solutions. When our mother died, she'd been the one to organize the funeral while I fell apart. When I got laid off from my first job, she'd been the one to update my resume while I wallowed. She showed up with takeout from my favorite Thai place and a bottle of wine. "You look like hell," she said, walking past me into the kitchen. "Thanks. That's exactly what I needed to hear." "I'm serious. When's the last time you ate something that wasn't cereal or crackers?" "I eat." "Uh-huh." She started unpacking the food containers. "Sit. Eat. Tell me everything." So I did. I told her about the hotel room. About the 3-hour confession. About Marcus's endless attempts at reconciliation and Jay's breakdown on my porch. About the silence I'd wrapped around myself like armor. She listened without interrupting, her face unreadable. When I finished, she took a long sip of wine and said, "You're handling this wrong." "Excuse me." The silence thing. The freezing them out. I get it. I do. But it's not sustainable. You're not actually processing what happened. You're just storing it. And eventually, that storage facility is going to explode. "I don't want to process it," I said. "I want to move on." By pretending it didn't happen? By not giving them the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. Who said anything about falling apart? I'm talking about actually feeling something. When's the last time you cried? I opened my mouth and then closed it. I couldn't remember. See? Emma leaned back in her chair. You're so busy being strong and silent and mysterious that you're not actually healing. You're just freezing. Maybe freezing is better than feeling. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, you look miserable. You look like you're carrying around this enormous weight and refusing to put it down because you think that would be weakness. It would be weakness. If I start crying, if I start breaking down, if I give them any reaction at all, then they win. This isn't a game you can win, Emma said gently. They already took something from you. The only question now is, are you going to let them take your peace too? Her words hit me like a physical blow. I don't know how to let it go, I whispered. Then maybe it's time to stop trying to let it go and just feel it. All of it. The anger and the hurt and the betrayal. Let yourself be a mess. You've earned it. That night, alone in my house, I finally cried. I cried for the friendship I'd lost. For the marriage that was over. For the version of myself who had trusted completely and loved without reservation. For 17 years of memories that were now tainted. For inside jokes that would never be funny again. For the future I'd imagined that would never exist. I cried until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen and my chest ached. And when I was done, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Empty, yes, but not frozen. Monday morning, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Patricia Rodriguez, and she came highly recommended by a colleague whose sister had gone through a messy divorce. Her office was downtown, all glass and steel and expensive furniture that screamed competence. "Tell me everything," she said, pulling out a legal pad. I did. She took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions, her face professionally neutral. When I finished, she sat back and studied me. "Okay," she said. "Here's the situation. California is a no-fault divorce state, which means the affair doesn't technically matter for the divorce itself. However, it can matter for other things. Did you and Marcus have a prenuptial agreement?" "No." "Any children?" "No." "How long have you been married?" 11 years. She nodded, making notes. "And the house? You said it's in your name only." "Yes. I bought it before we got married. He moved in after the wedding." "That's good. That's separate property, not community property." "What about retirement accounts?" investments, other assets. We spent the next hour going through every detail of my financial life. It was exhausting and depressing and necessary. Here's what I recommend, Patricia finally said. File for divorce immediately. California has a 6-month waiting period, so the clock starts when we file. In terms of asset division, you're in a decent position. The house is yours. Your retirement account from before the marriage is yours. Everything else gets split 50-50. Even though he cheated? Even though he cheated. Like I said, no fault state. Unless we can prove he was spending community assets on the affair, which is possible but difficult. Did he pay for hotel rooms with joint credit cards? I don't know. I haven't looked. Then that's your homework. Go through every bank statement, every credit card statement for the past 2 years. Look for charges to hotels, restaurants, gifts. Anything that might have been for Jay. If we can prove he was spending your shared money on his mistress, we might be able to argue for a larger share of the community assets. The word mistress made me flinch. It sounded so tawdry. So cliché. Like something from a bad movie. But that's what she was. That's what they both were. Characters in the worst possible story. One more thing, Patricia said as I stood to leave. Brace yourself. This is going to get ugly. Divorces always do, but divorces involving infidelity, they get particularly nasty. Marcus is going to fight. He's going to beg. He's going to try to make you feel guilty. And Jay? She's going to insert herself into this situation in ways you can't even imagine yet. Let them try, I said. She smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who'd seen 1,000 battles and was ready for one more. That's the spirit. That night, I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by 2 years of financial records. Bank statements. Credit card bills. Receipts I'd saved in a folder, organized by year, because I was the kind of person who organized things. The kind of person who filed taxes early and kept meticulous records and believed that order could protect you from chaos. How naive I'd been. The first charge I found was from 18 months ago. A restaurant I didn't recognize. $73. Marcus had come home that night and told me he grabbed a burger at the bar near his office. A $73 burger. I kept digging. Hotel charges. Dozens of them. Always on weekdays. Always charged to our joint credit card. The one we used for everything because we were married and shared our lives and had nothing to hide from each other. Except he did. Jewelry from a boutique downtown. A necklace, according to the receipt I found tucked in his wallet that I'd finally gone through. $350. I'd never received a necklace. But I remembered Jay wearing a new necklace about 6 months ago. Silver with a small diamond pendant. She'd said it was a gift to herself for finishing a big project. It wasn't. Flowers. Dozens of flower deliveries. Not to our house. To an address I didn't recognize until I looked it up on Google Maps. Jay's apartment. Weekend trip to wine country. Marcus had told me it was a work retreat. A team-building thing he couldn't get out of. I'd been disappointed but understanding. We'd been planning to go to wine country for our anniversary, but work came first, right? He'd gone with her. The receipts painted a picture more devastating than any confession. This wasn't just sex. This wasn't just a physical affair. This was a relationship. Dinners and gifts and romantic getaways. This was him building a life with her while maintaining his life with me. I took pictures of everything. Organized them into a folder. Sent them to Patricia. She called me an hour later. This is good, she said. Really good. This is tens of thousands of dollars of marital assets spent on an extramarital affair. We can use this. How much can we get? With this evidence? I'd say we're looking at a 70-30 split in your favor. Maybe more if Marcus doesn't want to fight and risk this becoming public. Good, I said. My voice sounded cold even to my own ears. There's something else, Patricia continued. One of the hotel charges. From 8 months ago. It's flagged on your credit report. Flagged how? Disputed charge. Someone tried to claim it was fraudulent. The dispute was withdrawn, but it's still in the system. My blood went cold. What does that mean? It means someone saw that charge. Probably you, on your credit card statement. And someone disputed it. But then backed off. 8 months ago. I tried to remember. Had I seen something? Had I questioned a charge? Yes. Yes, I had. I'd asked Marcus about a hotel charge. $215 at the Riverside Inn. He'd said it was a mistake. That the hotel had accidentally charged our card instead of his corporate card. That he'd already sorted it out with accounting. I'd believed him. But I hadn't just believed him. I'd started to dispute the charge. Called the credit card company. Started the process. And then Marcus had called me back. Said he'd fixed it. Said I should cancel the dispute because it would mess up his expense reports. I'd canceled it. I'd seen the evidence 8 months ago. And he'd talked me out of believing my own eyes. Are you okay? Patricia's voice brought me back to the present. No, I said honestly. But I will be. Marcus showed up at my office. I was in the middle of a meeting with a client when my assistant knocked on the door, her face apologetic. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you. He says it's urgent. I excused myself and walked to the lobby. Marcus was standing by the reception desk, looking nervous. He'd lost weight. His suit hung on him differently. There was a desperate energy radiating off him that made people give him a wide berth. You can't be here, I said quietly. You won't answer my calls. You won't respond to my emails. What else am I supposed to do? Respect my boundaries. I need to talk to you about the divorce papers. Please. Just 5 minutes. I glanced at my assistant, who was trying very hard to look like she wasn't listening while obviously listening to every word. Outside, I said. We walked to the parking lot. It was raining, that fine mist that doesn't seem like much until you realize you're soaked. We stood under an awning and I crossed my arms, waiting. 70-30, Marcus said. Are you serious? Completely. That's not fair. That's not how community property works. You spent $40,000 of our money on your affair, I said. Dinners. Hotels. Gifts. Trips. Patricia has documentation of everything. So either we settle at 70-30 or we go to court and I make sure everyone knows exactly what you did and how much it cost. His face went white. You wouldn't. Try me. This is vindictive. This is you trying to punish me. No. This is you experiencing consequences. There's a difference. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Why are you being so cold about this? The question hung in the air between us. Why was I being so cold? Why wasn't I screaming or crying or begging him to explain? Why was I handling this like a business transaction instead of the end of my marriage? Because if I let myself feel it, I would shatter. And I couldn't afford to shatter. Not yet. Not until this was over. Sign the papers, I said. Take the deal. Move on with your life. What about counseling? What about trying to save our marriage? There's nothing to save. You killed it 2 years ago. I'm just finally burying it. I love you. The words should have meant something. They should have hurt or angered or moved me in some way. They didn't. No, I said. You loved the idea of having both. You loved having a wife and a mistress. You loved the thrill of the secret. But you didn't love me. Because if you loved me, you never could have done this. I walked back inside without waiting for his response. The dinner party was Emma's idea. You can't hide forever, she said. You have friends who care about you, who want to support you. Let them. So I agreed to a small dinner at Emma's house. Just a few people from our old friend group. The people Marcus and I had spent countless evenings with. Game nights and barbecues and New Year's Eve parties. I knew it was going to be awkward. I didn't realize it was going to be devastating. Rachel and Tom arrived first. Rachel had been one of my closest friends after Jay. We'd met at work and bonded over our shared love of bad reality TV and good wine. She hugged me carefully, like I might break. How are you holding up? She asked. I'm okay. We heard about Marcus and Jay. Tom shook his head. I still can't believe it. I mean, Jay? Of all people. Yeah, I said. Of all people. Then David and his wife Amanda arrived. David had been Marcus's college roommate. They'd been best friends for 20 years. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. "I'm going to say something," David announced, not bothering with pleasantries. "And you're not going to like it. But someone needs to say it." Emma tried to intervene. "David, maybe now isn't the time." "Marcus is a mess," David continued. "He's staying on my couch. He's barely eating. Barely sleeping. And yes, what he did was wrong. I'm not defending the affair. But the way you're handling this? The silence? The freezing him out? That's cruel." The room went silent. "Excuse me," I said quietly. "He made a mistake. A huge mistake. But he's a human being. He's my friend. And watching him fall apart like this while you ice him out completely? It's hard to watch." "David," Amanda put her hand on his arm, but he shook her off. "No. Someone needs to say it. Marriage is about forgiveness. It's about working through the hard times. You're just giving up without even trying." I stared at him. This man I'd known for 11 years. This man who'd been Marcus's best man at our wedding. This man whose children I'd babysat, whose wife I'd comforted through 2 miscarriages, whose birthday parties I'd organized. "Get out," I said. "What?" "Get out of this house." "You can't tell me that. It's my sister's house, and she wants you to leave." "Don't you, Emma?" Emma nodded. "Yeah, David. I think you should go." "This is ridiculous." "Your friend," I said, my voice shaking now, "spent 2 years lying to me. 2 years sleeping with my best friend. 2 years spending our money on hotels and gifts and romantic getaways while I sat at home wondering why he didn't want to touch me anymore. And you think I'm being cruel by not immediately forgiving him? I'm just saying. You're saying that his feelings matter more than mine. You're saying that I should make this easier for him. That I should manage his emotions and his guilt and his consequences, because otherwise it's too hard to watch. Well, guess what? It was hard to watch him lie to my face for 2 years. It was hard to walk into that hotel room. It was hard to look at my best friend and realize she'd been betraying me every single day. People make mistakes. Then let him live with his mistake. The words exploded out of me. Let him feel the weight of what he did. Let him lie awake at night and understand that actions have consequences. I don't owe him comfort. I don't owe him forgiveness. I don't owe him anything. David and Amanda left. So did Tom and Rachel, though Rachel hugged me first and whispered, "I'm on your side." "I'm sorry." I sat at Emma's kitchen table and put my head in my hands. "That could have gone better," Emma said. I laughed. It came out more like a sob. "I'm losing everything," I said. "My marriage. My best friend. Now my friend group. All because I won't make this easier for them. All because I won't pretend everything's fine." "Then they're not real friends," Emma said firmly. "Real friends don't ask you to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm." But even as she said it, I felt the isolation closing in. The divorce wasn't just ending my marriage. It was dismantling my entire life. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Plain manila envelope, my name and address in neat handwriting I didn't recognize. No return address. I almost threw it away, thinking it was junk mail. But something made me open it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A printed email. And as I read it, my entire understanding of the past 2 years shattered. The email was from Jay to Marcus. Dated 3 years ago. 6 months before the affair supposedly started. Subject line, "We need to talk about her." Marcus. I know we agreed not to do this. I know we said we'd wait. But I can't anymore. I can't watch you with her. I can't pretend to be her friend while wanting you. It's killing me. You said you loved me. You said you were going to leave her. That was 2 years ago. How much longer am I supposed to wait? I'm tired of being the secret. I'm tired of the stolen moments. I'm tired of watching her live the life that should be mine. Make a choice. Her or me. But make it soon. Because I can't do this anymore. Jay. I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. 3 years ago. The affair hadn't started 2 years ago. It had been going on for at least 3 years. Possibly longer. And Jay hadn't been my friend who made a mistake. She'd been in love with Marcus before she even really knew me. Or maybe she'd befriended me because of Marcus. Maybe the entire 17-year friendship had been a lie from the start. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the paper. There was a note attached. Handwritten, different handwriting from the envelope. You deserve to know the truth. She targeted you from the beginning. I'm sorry. A friend. Who sent this? Who had access to Jay's emails? And why now? I called Patricia. I need you to look at something, I said. An hour later, we were sitting in her office, the email spread out on her desk. This changes things, she said slowly. How? If we can prove the affair started before the 2-year mark, it affects the statute of limitations on certain claims. More importantly, it shows a pattern of deception that went much deeper than what they admitted to. This could be evidence of fraud. Fraud. He induced you to stay in the marriage under false pretenses. You made financial decisions based on lies. If we can prove that, we can potentially get more than 70-30. Clothes that looked slept in. She saw me and her face crumpled with relief. Thank you for coming, she said, sliding into the chair across from me. I didn't think you would. I almost didn't. I'm glad you did. I have so much to tell you. So much I should have said a long time ago. I waited. She took a breath. Then another. Like she was gathering courage. The affair didn't start 2 years ago, she said finally. I lied about that. In the hotel room. I lied because I was scared and panicking and didn't want you to know how bad it really was. How long? For years. For years of lies. For years of betrayal. For years of her pretending to be my best friend while sleeping with my husband. But Jay continued, it's worse than that. Because it didn't really start 4 years ago either. The physical affair started then. But the emotional affair, that started much earlier. How much earlier? She looked down at her hands. Do you remember how we met? Poetry class. College. No. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. That's the lie I've been telling myself for so long that I almost believed it. We didn't meet by accident. I sought you out. The world tilted. What? I'd seen you around campus with Marcus. You two were always together. Always laughing. Always so perfect. And I was fascinated. Not by you. By him. I thought he was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. And I wanted him. So you befriended me to get close to him. Yes. No. It's more complicated than that. She wiped her eyes. I befriended you to get close to him. But then I actually got to know you. And you were amazing. You were kind and funny and smart, and you trusted me completely. And I felt terrible. So I told myself I'd just be your friend. That I'd forget about Marcus. That I'd moved on. But you didn't. But I didn't. And then you two got married, and I was at your wedding, and I watched you exchange vows, and I wanted to die. Because I realized I'd never moved on. I'd just buried it. And watching you have everything I wanted, it destroyed me. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. 17 years. 17 years of friendship built on a lie. Then I got married, Jay continued. To someone I didn't really love. Trying to prove to myself that I was over Marcus. That didn't work either. My marriage fell apart. And when I got divorced, Marcus was there. Helping me move. Bringing me food. Being kind. And you saw your chance. And I saw my chance, she agreed. I'm not proud of it. I'm disgusted by it. But yes, I seduced him. It took time. But I was patient. And eventually he gave in. Did he know? About you targeting me in college? No. God, no. He still doesn't know. As far as he's concerned, we met by accident and the affair was a mutual mistake that spiraled out of control. Why are you telling me this now? She pulled out her phone. Showed me a screenshot of an email. The same email that had arrived at my house. Someone sent this to me too. With a note saying they were going to send it to you if I didn't come clean. So here I am. Coming clean. All of it. Every terrible thing I've done. Who sent it? I don't know. But whoever it is, they have access to my old emails. And there are things in those emails that are even worse than what you've seen. Things that would destroy any chance I have of salvaging any part of my life. Like what? She hesitated. Like what, Jay? Like emails about you. Mocking you. Making fun of you. Laughing about how naive you were. How easy you were to manipulate. Fresh tears spilled down her face. I was a monster. I am a monster. And I am so sorry. I stood up. Wait. We're done here. Please, I'm trying to. You're trying to get ahead of the story. Someone has evidence that makes you look even worse than you already do, so you're confessing to me first. Hoping I'll what? Forgive you? Help you. I just wanted you to hear it from me. You had 17 years to tell me the truth. 17 years to confess. 17 years to be an actual friend. You don't get credit for coming clean now because someone forced your hand. I walked out of the coffee shop. Behind me, I heard her sobbing. I didn't look back. Patricia's investigator was a woman named Helen. She was in her 50s, with sharp eyes and an air of competence that reminded me of a particularly efficient librarian. We met in Patricia's office 3 days after the coffee shop. I found your sender, Helen said, opening a folder. Took some digging, but I got there. Who is it? Marcus's coworker. Woman named Rebecca Kim. She works in the same department, has for about 6 years. I don't understand. Why would she send me that email? Because, Helen said, pulling out another document, she and Marcus had a brief relationship about 7 years ago. Before he met you. They broke up because he said he wasn't ready for something serious. Then 3 months later, he married you. The hits kept coming. Rebecca never quite got over it, Helen continued. She's been watching him for years. And she noticed the affair with Jay early on. Started documenting it. Partly out of spite, I think. Partly because she was hoping it would implode his marriage and he'd come back to her. That's insane. That's obsession, Helen corrected. But it works in our favor. She has extensive documentation. Emails, photos, receipts. She's been building a file for 3 years. Can we use it? Legally? Some of it. The emails might be problematic since she obtained them without permission. But the photos and circumstantial evidence? Absolutely. And she's willing to testify. Why? What does she get out of this? Helen smiled grimly. Revenge. She wants to see Marcus lose everything the way she lost him. I should have been bothered by that. By using someone's unhealthy obsession to my advantage. But I wasn't. Set it up, I said. Marcus's deposition was scheduled for a Wednesday morning. Patricia had warned me I didn't need to be there. That it might be too difficult to watch. But I wanted to be there. I needed to see him face the consequences of his choices. The law office was all dark wood and leather chairs and the smell of old books. Marcus sat at a long conference table with his lawyer, a slick-looking man who charged $600 an hour to defend cheating husbands. I sat in the corner with Patricia. Marcus looked at me once when he came in. I looked back without expression. He looked away first. The deposition lasted 4 hours. They walked him through every lie, every hotel charge, every gift, every trip. Did you use marital funds to pay for these hotel rooms? Yes. Did your wife know you were having an affair? No. So you intentionally deceived her about where you were and what you were doing? Yes. For how long? 2 years. Are you certain it was only 2 years? A pause. Marcus's lawyer leaned over and whispered something. Yes, Marcus said finally. 2 years. Patricia slid a document across the table. The email from Jay. The one from 3 years ago. Can you explain this email, Mr. Reynolds? Marcus went pale. This email is dated 3 years and 4 months ago. In it, your affair partner references waiting for 2 years. That would make the affair at least 5 years old. Would you like to revise your previous statement? Mr. Reynolds, you're under oath. His lawyer called for a break. By the end of that week, Marcus agreed to sign. 80-20 split. The house was mine. My retirement account was mine. 80% of all other assets were mine. He got his car and 20% of what was left. This is financial ruin, his lawyer protested in the final settlement meeting. This is justice, Patricia responded. Your client committed fraud. He lied about the duration of the affair, used marital assets to fund it, and deceived my client for years. If this goes to trial, the split could be worse. Much worse. Especially when we introduce testimony from Rebecca Kim. Marcus signed the papers. We sat across from each other one last time. His lawyer and Patricia. Witnesses. Documents. I'm sorry, Marcus said as he pushed the signed papers across the table. For whatever it's worth. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. That's it, he said. Nothing? After 11 years of marriage, you have nothing to say to me. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man I'd loved. This man I'd planned a future with. This man who'd destroyed everything. I hope, I said slowly, that someday you understand what you threw away. I hope you lie awake at night and realize that you had someone who loved you completely. Who trusted you. Who would have done anything for you. And you traded that for hotel rooms and lies. I hope that knowledge haunts you. Because you don't get to move on from this. You don't get to tell yourself it was a mistake or that I was partly to blame or that you were going through something. You made a choice. Every single day for years, you made a choice. And now you get to live with it. I stood up. Goodbye, Marcus. I walked out of that office and didn't look back. Jay tried to contact me one more time. A letter arrived at my house. Handwritten. 7 pages long. I almost threw it away. Almost burned it without reading. But something made me open it. I know you hate me. You should. I hate myself. I've been in therapy 3 times a week since our coffee shop meeting. Trying to understand why I did what I did. Trying to figure out how I became the kind of person who could systematically destroy someone's life. My therapist says I have attachment issues. That I confused obsession with love. That I built my entire identity around wanting something I couldn't have. And when I finally got it, I realized it wasn't what I thought it would be. Marcus and I aren't together anymore. In case you were wondering, we tried. After everything came out, we tried to actually be a couple. It lasted 3 weeks. Turns out, when you remove the secrecy and the forbidden nature of it all, there's nothing left. We have nothing in common. We don't even really like each other. We were never in love. We were just addicted to the lie. I've lost everything. My business is failing because word got out about the affair. Mutual friends won't speak to me. My family is disappointed. I had to move because I couldn't stand seeing places that reminded me of you. But the worst part? The part that keeps me up at night? Is knowing that I destroyed the only real friendship I ever had. Because despite everything, despite the fact that I befriended you for the wrong reasons, somewhere along the way, I actually did love you. As a friend. As a person. You were the best thing in my life, and I destroyed you for something that wasn't even real. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just asking you to know that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. And that if I could go back and change everything, I would. I would choose you over him every single time. Because you were real. And he never was. I hope you find happiness. Real happiness. With someone who deserves you. Someone who will never do what I did. Goodbye. Jay. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully, put it back in the envelope, and filed it away in a box in my closet. I didn't respond. Some things don't need a response. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I went back to that coffee shop. Not because I was meeting anyone. Not because I had a reason. Just because I needed to reclaim it. To take back the space that had been tainted by Jay's confession. I ordered my coffee. Found a table by the window. Opened my laptop to work. Excuse me. I looked up. A woman about my age, with kind eyes and an uncertain smile. I'm sorry to bother you, but are you working on the Davidson account? I recognized the logo. I am, actually. I work for a competitor. Well, worked. I just left and I'm freelancing now. That account is a nightmare. You have my sympathy. I laughed. It really is. Would you mind if I joined you? I'm supposed to be working, but I can't focus, and I could really use adult conversation that isn't about my toddler's potty training habits. Please, I said, gesturing to the empty chair. Her name was Diane. She was funny and smart and had no connection to my past. We talked for 2 hours. About work and life, and the challenges of being professional women in our late 30s. As we were leaving, she said, "This might be forward, but would you want to grab lunch sometime? I just moved back to town and I don't really have any friends here yet." For a moment, I hesitated. Friendship had cost me everything. Trusting someone had destroyed my life. But then I thought about what Emma had said. About not letting them take my peace. About not letting the betrayal make me bitter. "I'd like that," I said. We exchanged numbers. Made plans for the following week. And as I drove home, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Rebecca Kim requested a meeting. Helen set it up, with the caveat that I wasn't obligated to go. That Rebecca had done her part in the divorce, and I owed her nothing. But I was curious. We met at a park. Neutral territory. Public but private. Rebecca was petite and polished, with the kind of aggressive competence that probably made her excellent at her job and terrible in relationships. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "Why did you want to meet?" "To apologize." That surprised me. "For what?" "For using your pain to satisfy my vendetta. For waiting 3 years to tell you about the affair. For documenting everything like some kind of creepy stalker instead of just telling you. You don't owe me an apology. You helped me." "I helped myself," she corrected. "I helped myself hurt Marcus. You were just collateral benefit. And that's not okay." I studied her. "You really loved him, didn't you?" "I thought I did. But I think I loved the idea of him. The potential. Like Jay did. We were all so busy being in love with our fantasies that we forgot about the actual human beings involved." "Do you still love him?" "God, no. Honestly, watching him fall apart in the deposition, seeing him lose everything, it didn't feel as good as I thought it would. It just felt sad. He's a weak man who made cowardly choices. And I wasted 7 years of my life being angry about losing someone who wasn't worth having in the first place. So why are you here?" "To tell you that you were right. The way you handled everything. The silence. The dignity. Not giving them the satisfaction of seeing you destroyed. That was powerful. And I wanted you to know that I see it. And I admire it." We sat in silence for a moment, watching joggers pass by. "I'm sorry he hurt you," I said finally. "I'm sorry he hurt you worse." We parted ways. I never saw Rebecca again. But I thought about her sometimes. About the different ways betrayal damages people. About how we all cope differently. About how, in the end, we're all just trying to survive. 8 months after the divorce, my phone rang at 2 in the morning. I fumbled for it in the dark, heart pounding. Calls at 2 a.m. are never good news. "Hello. Is this Mrs. Reynolds?" A man's voice. Official. Careful. "Ms.," I corrected automatically. "What's wrong?" "This is Officer Davis with the County Police Department. I'm calling about your former husband, Marcus Reynolds. You're still listed as his emergency contact." My stomach dropped. "What happened? Is he okay?" "He's in the hospital. Suicide attempt. He's stable, but he's asking for you." The world stopped. "You don't have to come. I just needed to notify you. But if you do want to come, he's at County General, room 412. He hung up. I sat in the dark for a long time, staring at my phone, trying to decide what to feel. Guilt. That was the first thing. Crushing guilt. Had I driven him to this? Had my silence, my coldness, my refusal to engage pushed him over an edge? Then anger. How dare he? How dare he try to make his choices, his guilt, his consequences into something I had to carry? Then pity. For the broken man who'd thrown away everything and couldn't live with what he'd done. I got dressed. Emma called as I was getting in my car. Apparently, The police had called her too when they couldn't reach Marcus's parents. "Don't go," she said. "This isn't your responsibility." "I know. So, why are you going?" "Because I need to see this through. All the way to the end." The hospital was quiet. Fluorescent lights and the smell of antiseptic and the low murmur of night shift nurses. Marcus was in a private room. Four in his arm. Bandages on his wrists. He looked like a stranger. Hollow-eyed and broken. He saw me in the doorway and started crying. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying to manipulate you. I couldn't take it anymore." I sat in the chair beside his bed. Not close. Not touching. "What happened?" "I lost my job. Did you know that?" Rebecca reported the affair to HR, said I was creating a hostile work environment. They fired me. Then Jay started calling me, blaming me for everything, saying I ruined her life. And I realized I ruined everything. Your life, her life, my life. Everything I touched turned to poison. "So you tried to kill yourself." "I thought it would be easier. For everyone. You could really move on. Jay could stop blaming me. My parents wouldn't have to be disappointed in me anymore." "That's not how it works," I said quietly. "You don't get to escape consequences by dying. You just transfer them to everyone else." "I know. I know that now. The doctor, he said I need help. Real help. Therapy. Maybe medication. I'm so broken. I don't even know how to start fixing myself." We sat in silence. "I can't be your person anymore," I said finally. "I can't be the one you call when things fall apart. I can't be responsible for your healing or your guilt or your consequences." "I know, but I'll help you find someone who can. A therapist, a support group, something. Because despite everything, I don't want you dead. I want you to live. And I want you to do the work to become someone worth living as." "Why?" The question was genuine. Confused. "After everything I did to you, why would you help me?" Because holding on to hate was killing me too. Because silence was powerful, but it can't be forever. Because at some point, you have to choose whether you're going to let the betrayal define you or if you're going to move past it. I stood up. "Get better, Marcus. Not for me. Not to win me back. Not to make amends. Just get better because you deserve to be better. Everyone does." I left him there. And for the first time in months, I felt the weight lift just a little. 2 weeks after Marcus's hospitalization, I wrote a letter. Not to him. To Jay. I'd been thinking about it for months. About whether I owed her anything. Whether speaking to her would be closure or just reopening wounds. But after Marcus's suicide attempt, I realized something. Silence had served its purpose. It had protected me, given me space, allowed me to heal without their chaos bleeding into my life. But it had also trapped me, kept me frozen in that moment of betrayal, made me a victim of my own defensive walls. I needed to say something, not for her, for me. I received your letter. I've read it probably 50 times over the past few months, and I've struggled with whether to respond. Part of me wanted to throw it away, to maintain the silence that's protected me, to never give you the satisfaction of knowing your words reached me. But that's not healing. That's just hiding. So here's what I need to say. I don't forgive you. I want to be clear about that. Forgiveness isn't something you can demand or earn through apologies. It's something that happens organically if it happens at all. And I'm not there yet. I may never be. But I understand you. And that's different. I understand that people are complicated. That we make terrible choices for complex reasons. That you didn't wake up one day and decide to destroy my life. You made a series of small choices that compounded into something devastating. I understand that you loved me, in your way. And I believe you when you say you regret it. Regret doesn't fix anything, but it's real. I understand that you're suffering. That consequences have come for you the way they came for Marcus. That you're trying to rebuild a life from rubble. And I want you to know that I don't hate you. I'm not saying we'll ever be friends again. We won't. That bridge isn't just burned, it's ash. I'm not saying I wish you well. I don't think I'm capable of that yet. But I'm saying I release you. I release you from my anger, from my hurt, from the space you've been occupying in my head rent-free for almost a year. You don't get to live there anymore. I'm taking back my peace. I'm taking back my joy. I'm taking back the parts of myself that I gave away to the betrayal. And I'm moving forward. I hope you do the same. I hope you get the help you need. I hope you figure out who you are without the obsession. I hope you build a life that's real instead of one built on lies and fantasy. But most of all, I hope you learn that love isn't about possession. It's not about taking. It's about giving freely without expectation. You never learned that lesson. Maybe you will now. This is the last communication you'll receive from me. Don't call. Don't write. Don't try to see me. We're done. Completely and forever. But we're done on my terms. With my words. With me in control of the ending.
Goodbye, G. For real this time.
I mailed the letter on a Thursday. I felt lighter immediately. 3 months later, I was having lunch with Diane when she said something that stopped me mid-bite. Can I ask you something personal?
Sure.
What happened with your ex? You've mentioned the divorce, but you've never really talked about why. I'd been carefully vague about the whole situation. Not lying, but not offering details either. Protecting my privacy. Protecting myself. But Diane had become a real friend. Someone I trusted. Someone who'd earned the right to know. So I told her. Everything. The affair. The hotel room. The emails. The silence. All of it. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she sat back and shook her head. That's actually insane. I can't imagine going through that. It was the worst year of my life. And you handled it by just not reacting? By being silent. It was the only thing I could control. They'd taken everything else. My marriage. My best friend. My sense of reality. But they couldn't make me react. They couldn't make me give them what they wanted. Which was what?
Drama.
Emotion. A fight. They wanted me to scream and cry and make scenes. They wanted me to be the crazy ex-wife so they could feel less guilty. My silence denied them that. It forced them to sit with what they'd done without any distraction. That's brilliant. And brutal. It was survival. Diane reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. You know that. I don't feel strong. Most days I still feel broken. Strength isn't about not being broken. It's about being broken and still showing up. That night, I thought about what she'd said. About strength. About showing up. About choosing to move forward even when every part of you wants to quit. I thought about how far I'd come. From the woman standing in that hotel, hallway to the woman I was now. Different. Changed. But not destroyed. They hadn't destroyed me. I had survived. A year and a half after the divorce, I ran into Marcus at the grocery store. It was completely random. I was buying vegetables for a dinner party I was hosting. He was in the frozen food aisle, looking at pizza options. We saw each other at the same moment.
Hi, he said. Eat.
Awkward silence. You look good, he said. Healthy. Happy. I am. Both of those things.
I'm glad.
He meant it. I could tell. I've been in therapy.
Twice a week.
For over a year now. That's good.
Yeah.
It's helping. I'm learning a lot about myself. About why I made the choices I made. None of it excuses what I did, but it helps me understand it. Understanding is important. More silence. I have a daughter, he said suddenly. Did you know that? My heart stopped. What? Jay was pregnant. When everything came out. She didn't tell anyone at first because of the chaos. But she had the baby 6 months ago. A little girl. I couldn't speak. She's not mine, he continued quickly. I mean, biologically she is. But I'm not. Jay and I aren't together. We're co-parenting, barely. It's complicated. Does Jay know you're telling me this?
No.
But I thought you should know. I thought.
He stopped.
Started again. You always wanted kids. I know that. And I kept putting it off. Making excuses. And now I have one. With the woman I cheated on you with. And I needed you to know I understand how twisted that is. Why are you telling me this, Marcus? Because I want you to know that I see it. The full scope of what I took from you. It's not just the marriage I destroyed. It's the future. The family you wanted. The life we talked about. I took all of that. And I gave it to someone else. Someone who didn't deserve it in the most painful way possible. A year ago, this information would have destroyed me. It would have sent me spiraling into anger and grief and what-ifs.
Now?
I'm sorry you're struggling, I said. I'm sorry co-parenting is hard. I hope you figure it out for your daughter's sake. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? That I'm devastated? That this breaks my heart all over again? I'm not going to give you that. Not because I'm trying to punish you, but because it's not true. How can it not be true? Because I don't want that life anymore. I don't want the future we planned. I don't want kids with you. I don't even want to know you. You're a stranger who used to be my husband. And your daughter, bless her heart, has nothing to do with me. So you've really moved on. Completely. He looked at me like he didn't quite believe it. Like he'd expected the wound to still be fresh. The pain to still be sharp. I hope you find happiness, he said finally. Real happiness. You deserve it. I already have, I said. And I meant it. That spring, Emma got married. She'd been dating someone for 2 years, but I'd been so wrapped up in my divorce drama that I'd barely paid attention. Now, watching her plan her wedding, I felt guilty for being absent. Stop, she said when I apologized. You were going through hell. I understood.
Still.
I should have been there for you. You are now. That's what matters. I was her maid of honor. Full circle from her being mine at my wedding to Marcus. But this time was different. This time I stood next to her without any shadows. Without wondering if my marriage would last. Without fear that betrayal was lurking around every corner. This time I just felt joy. At the reception, a man asked me to dance. His name was David. Not the David from the disastrous dinner party. A different David. He was Emma's husband's college friend. Kind eyes. Gentle smile. The kind of person who listened more than he talked. Fair warning, he said as we moved to the music. I'm a terrible dancer. That's okay.
I'm emotionally unavailable.
He laughed. That's fair. Divorce? How did you know? Lucky guess. Plus, you have that look. What look? That I've been through hell and come out the other side look? It's distinctive. Is that attractive? I asked, half joking. Actually?
Yeah.
It means you're not going to waste my time with games. You're not going to pretend to be someone you're not. You've already been through the worst thing. Everything else is just life. We talked for 2 hours. He was a teacher. Divorced himself. 3 years prior. His wife had left him for her personal trainer. Cliché, he said, but true. How did you handle it? I asked. Poorly at first. I went through an angry phase. Then a sad phase. Then a I'm going to pretend I'm fine phase. Then I finally got therapy and actually dealt with it. No silence phase? Oh, there was definitely silence. I didn't speak to her for a year. Total radio silence. And you know what? It helped. It really did. Gave me space to figure out who I was without her. So you get it. I get it completely. When the song ended, he asked for my number. I gave it to him. 6 months after Emma's wedding, I was cleaning out my closet when I found the box. The box with Jay's letter. The emails. The evidence from the divorce. All the documentation of the worst year of my life. I sat on my bedroom floor and went through it, reading everything one more time. And I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not even bitter satisfaction. Just nothing. These documents that had once represented the end of my world were now just paper. Just words. Just history. I called Emma. I'm ready to get rid of it, I said. The box. All of it. The letters. The emails. The evidence. I don't need it anymore. Are you sure? Completely. That weekend, Emma came over with a fire pit and marshmallows. We burned it all. Every letter, every email, every receipt, every piece of evidence from the divorce. We watched it all turn to ash. Any regrets? Emma asked as the last piece caught fire. None. To new beginnings, she said, raising her beer. To new beginnings, I echoed. The next day, David called. Want to grab dinner this week? He asked. I'd love that. Fair warning. I'm looking for something real. Something lasting. I'm too old for casual. So am I. And I'm going to ask you about your ex-husband on the second date. Because I want to know what happened and what you learned, and if you're actually over it. That's very direct. I told you. Hell teaches you not to waste time. I smiled. Second date, huh? Confident. Hopeful, he corrected. There's a difference. We went to dinner. And then we went again. And again. Slowly, carefully, I let myself trust again. Not blindly. Not naively. But intentionally. I told him about Marcus.
About Jay.
About the silence and the divorce, and the year I spent rebuilding myself from nothing. He told me about his ex-wife. About the betrayal. About his own journey through anger to acceptance. We understood each other. And 3 months into dating, he said something that changed everything. I'm not going to hurt you the way he did. I can't promise I'll never hurt you. People hurt each other. But I can promise I'll never betray you. Never lie to you. Never make you question your reality. That's a line I'll never cross. How can you promise that? Because I've been on the other side. I know what it does to a person. And I'd rather be alone forever than make someone feel that way. I believed him. Not because I was naive, but because I'd learned to trust my instincts again. And my instincts said he was telling the truth. 2 years after my divorce was finalized, David proposed. We were at the beach, the same beach where I'd scattered my father's ashes years before. The sun was setting, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. I know you've been married before, he said. I know that didn't end well. I know you might have reservations about doing it again.
I admitted.
So here's what I'm offering. Not a do-over. Not a replacement. Something entirely new. A marriage built on honesty and communication, and 2 people who've already survived their worst nightmares. A marriage where we don't take each other for granted because we know how easily it can all fall apart. That sounds like a lot of work. It will be. But I think we're worth it. Don't you? I looked at this man who'd shown up in my life when I least expected it, who'd been patient with my fears, who'd never rushed me or pressured me or tried to fix me, who just loved me.
Steadily.
Honestly.
Completely.
Yes, I said. I think we're worth it. We got married 6 months later.
Small ceremony.
Just family and close friends. No drama.
No secrets.
Just 2 people choosing each other with full knowledge of who they were and what they'd been through. Emma was my maid of honor again. 3rd time's the charm? She joked as she helped me into my dress. Let's hope so. Are you nervous? Terrified. That's good. Means it matters. As I walked down the aisle toward David, I thought about how far I'd come. From the broken woman in a hotel hallway to this. To choosing love again. To believing in forever again. Not because I'd forgotten what happened, but because I'd survived it. And survival had made me stronger. I'd learned that betrayal doesn't have to define you. That silence can be powerful. That healing takes time, but it does happen. I'd learned that you can lose everything and still rebuild. I'd learned that the right person won't make you doubt yourself. Won't make you question your worth. Won't make you feel like you're crazy for trusting your instincts. The right person makes you feel safe. And standing there, looking at David, I felt safe for the first time in years. 3 years into my marriage to David, I saw Jay again. It was at a mall. I was shopping for my niece's birthday present. Jay was pushing a stroller with a toddler inside. We made eye contact. For a moment, neither of us moved. Just stared at each other across the crowded corridor. She looked different. Older. Tired. But also softer somehow. Like life had worn down the sharp edges. She started to approach. Then stopped. uncertain. I walked over to her.
Hi, I said. E.
Her voice was barely a whisper. I didn't expect to see you. Me neither. Awkward silence. She's beautiful, I said, nodding to the toddler. Your daughter. Thank you. Her name is Lily. That's a pretty name. More silence. I'm sorry, Jay said suddenly. I know I've said it before. I know it doesn't mean anything. But I need to say it again. I'm sorry for everything I did to you. Everything I took from you. I know. Do you? She hesitated. Do you ever think about what our friendship could have been? If I hadn't ruined everything? No, I said honestly. I used to, but not anymore. What happened happened. There's no point in mourning what could have been. Are you happy? She asked. I heard you got married again.
I'm glad.
You deserve happiness. I am happy. Very happy.
Good.
That's good. Lily started fussing. Jade jostled the stroller gently. I should go, she said. But thank you. For this. For not running away or yelling. For just being kind. I'm not being kind, I said. I'm just being done. There's a difference.
Still.
Thank you.
She walked away.
I watched her go, pushing her stroller through the crowd. And I felt nothing.
No anger. No sadness. No lingering hate.
Just nothing. She was a stranger who used to be my best friend. And now she was just a stranger. A few months after seeing Jay, I decided to go back to therapy. Not because anything was wrong, but because I wanted to make sure I was processing everything correctly. That I wasn't just burying feelings. That my apparent peace wasn't just avoidance. My therapist's name was Dr. Lisa Chen. She was in her 50s, with a calm presence and the ability to ask exactly the right question at exactly the right time. Tell me about the silence, she said in our third session. What about it? You've mentioned multiple times that your response to the betrayal was silence. Complete withdrawal. I'm curious about that choice. It was the only thing I could control. But was it healing? Or was it just protecting? I thought about that for a long moment. Both, I finally said. It was both. In the beginning, it was pure protection. I couldn't engage because I was too broken. If I tried to have conversations or confrontations, I would have shattered. And later it became strategic. I realized they wanted my reaction. They needed it to absolve themselves. So I denied them that. Let them sit with their guilt without any distraction. And now, looking back, do you think the silence was healthy? I think it was necessary. But I also think I held onto it too long. I used it as armor so effectively that I forgot how to take the armor off. Even after I was safe. Even after I'd healed. What changed? I realized that silence was keeping me frozen. That by refusing to engage, I was also refusing to fully move forward. That real healing meant actually processing, not just protecting. And have you processed it now? I think so. When I saw Jay at the mall, I felt nothing. Not because I was suppressing feelings, but because there were no feelings to suppress. She's genuinely irrelevant to my life now. That's significant growth. It doesn't feel like growth. It just feels like time passing. Sometimes that's the same thing. For years after the divorce, I received an email from Marcus. Subject line, no response needed. I almost deleted it without reading. But curiosity got the better of me. I know we haven't spoken in years. I know you've moved on completely, and I'm genuinely happy for you.
I heard you got married, and I hope he's treating you better. I'm not writing to ask for anything. Not forgiveness. Not closure. Not even acknowledgement. I'm writing because I'm getting married too. To someone new. Someone I met in therapy, actually. We've been together for 2 years, and she's amazing and patient and kind. And most importantly, she knows everything about what I did to you. The whole story. Nothing hidden. I told her because I never want to be that person again. The person who hides. Who lies. Who destroys lives because he's too cowardly, to be honest. My therapist says I've done a lot of work, that I've changed, that I understand now what I didn't understand then. about respect and honesty and what real love actually means. I want to believe him. I want to believe I'm different. But I also know that you probably don't care. And you shouldn't. You've built a beautiful life without me. A life I have no part in and no right to. I just wanted you to know that what you did, the silence, the dignity, the refusal to engage, it changed me. It forced me to look at myself in a way that no amount of fighting or crying or dramatic confrontations would have. You gave me nothing. And in giving me nothing, you gave me the space to become someone better. I'm not asking for credit. You don't owe me your pain or your healing journey. I just wanted you to know that your silence mattered. It made a difference. I hope you never think about me. I hope I'm so irrelevant to your life that this email is just a minor blip in your day. But if you ever do think about what happened, I want you to know, you were always enough. You were always worthy. The problem was never you.
It was always me. I'm sorry.
For everything. Forever. I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness. Marcus. I read the email twice. Then I closed it without responding. Not because I was angry. Not because I wanted to punish him. But because he was right. He was irrelevant to my life. And that was exactly how it should be. That weekend, I told Emma about Marcus's email. We were having coffee at her house, watching her twin toddlers destroy the living room with impressive efficiency. How did it make you feel? She asked. Nothing. Honestly, I felt nothing. That's good, right? I think so. But it also feels weird. Like I should feel something. Relief or anger or satisfaction. But there's just nothing. Maybe that's what real healing looks like. Not dramatic closure. Just indifference. When did you get so wise? Motherhood. You spend enough time dealing with toddler tantrums, and you realize that not everything deserves your emotional energy. You just deal with what's in front of you and move on. Is that what I did? Just moved on. You did more than that. You rebuilt. You created a whole new life. You let yourself love again. That's not just moving on. That's choosing to thrive despite everything. I don't know if I'd call it thriving. Most days I just feel like I'm surviving really well. That's the same thing, Emma said, echoing my therapist. You just don't see it yet. One of the twins, I couldn't tell which one, grabbed my coffee cup and tried to drink it. Emma rescued it with practiced ease.
See?
Survival skills. Essential in all aspects of life. I laughed. Really laughed. The kind of deep, genuine laughter that comes from real joy. And I realized Emma was right. I wasn't just surviving. I was actually happy. 5 years after my divorce, David planned a surprise for me. He wouldn't tell me what it was. Just said to pack a bag for the weekend and trust him. Should I be nervous? I asked as we drove out of town. Only if you hate beautiful views and excellent wine. We drove for 2 hours into wine country, to a small bed and breakfast overlooking vineyards that stretched to the horizon. This is gorgeous, I said as we checked in. There's more. That evening, he took me to dinner at a restaurant with a view of the sunset. Outdoor seating, string lights, the smell of jasmine and good food. It was perfect. Do you know what today is? He asked as we finished dessert. Friday. 5 years ago today, you walked into a hotel room and discovered your husband was cheating on you. My stomach dropped. David, why would you? Let me finish. 5 years ago, your world ended. You lost your marriage, your best friend, your sense of reality. Everything fell apart. I know. I was there. But 5 years ago was also the first day of your new life. The day you started becoming the person you are now. Strong, resilient, capable of rebuilding from nothing. I don't understand why we're celebrating that. We're not celebrating the betrayal. We're celebrating your survival, your strength, the fact that you made it through the worst thing that could happen and came out the other side even better. That's a weird thing to celebrate. Maybe. But I wanted you to know that I see it. I see how far you've come. And I'm so proud of you. Tears welled up in my eyes. I didn't do it alone. You helped. A lot. You'd already done most of the work before we met. I just got to be here for the final polishing. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the vineyards. You know what I realized today? I said finally. I don't hate them anymore. Marcus and Jay. I don't hate them and I don't think about them and I don't wish bad things for them. They're just people who used to be in my life. And now they're not. That's growth. It feels like indifference. Growth and indifference are sometimes the same thing. You can't hate people you're truly over. When did you become so wise? I have a great therapist and a great wife who teaches me new things every day. That night, lying in bed in the beautiful B&B, I thought about the past 5 years. About how much I'd changed. How much I'd healed. How much I'd learned. I'd learned that betrayal doesn't have to break you permanently. I'd learned that silence can be more powerful than words. I'd learned that you can't control other people's choices, only your response to them. I'd learned that healing isn't linear. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you think you're over something, and then it hits you again out of nowhere. I'd learned that real love feels different than I thought it would. Quieter. Steadier. Less dramatic, but more sustaining. I'd learned that you can lose everything and still rebuild something beautiful. Most importantly, I'd learned that I was stronger than I ever imagined. The betrayal hadn't destroyed me. It had transformed me. And I was grateful for who I'd become, even if I'd never choose to go through it again. 7 years after my divorce, I was invited to speak at a women's empowerment conference. The topic was rebuilding after betrayal. I almost said no. I'd moved on. I didn't want to be defined by what happened to me. I didn't want to be the betrayed wife who survived for the rest of my life. But then I thought about all the women going through what I went through, feeling like their world had ended, like they'd never trust again, like the pain would never stop. I wanted to tell them it gets better.
So I said yes.
The conference was huge. Hundreds of women. I stood backstage, nervous, my speech prepared but my hands shaking. David squeezed my hand. You've got this. What if I cry? Then you cry. They'll understand. I walked onto the stage. The room was silent, expectant. Hundreds of faces looking at me, waiting to hear my story. I took a breath and began. 7 years ago, my husband of 11 years and my best friend of 17 years destroyed my life. They had an affair that lasted years. They lied to me, manipulated me, gaslit me. They took everything I thought I knew about my life and revealed it to be a lie. Murmurs through the crowd. Recognition. Understanding. I'm not going to lie to you and say it was easy. It wasn't. There were days I didn't want to get out of bed. Days I didn't think I'd survive. Days where the pain was so overwhelming I thought it might actually kill me.
Nods.
Some women wiping tears. But I want to tell you what I learned. What I hope will help someone in this room who's going through their own version of hell right now. I paused. Collected myself. I learned that you don't have to engage with everyone who hurts you. That silence can be a form of power. That you don't owe anyone your reaction or your forgiveness or your closure. I learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means integrating what happened into your story without letting it define your story. I learned that you can lose everything, your marriage, your friends, your sense of identity, and still rebuild something beautiful. Different, yes, but beautiful. I learned that love is possible after betrayal. Real love. Honest love. The kind of love that doesn't make you question your sanity. But you have to heal first. You have to do the work to understand what happened and why it happened and how to protect yourself in the future without closing yourself off completely. I learned that being strong doesn't mean never breaking. It means breaking and then getting up and putting yourself back together, even if the pieces don't fit the same way anymore. Most importantly, I learned that you are not defined by what was done to you. You are defined by how you respond to it. The room was completely silent. So, if you're sitting here right now, wondering if you'll ever feel normal again, wondering if the pain will ever stop, wondering if you'll ever trust anyone again, I want you to know, yes, you will. It takes time. It takes work. It takes therapy and support and probably some crying in parking lots and screaming into pillows. Scattered laughter. But you will heal. You will rebuild. You will find yourself again.